I've made some separate videos in the past about getting your Printify account set up, from the store settings to the payment settings, and well, in 2023, Printify made some changes to the way these screen layouts look and how the navigation works, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to do a total end-to-end Printify setup process video. We're going to start with connecting your store to your Printify account, and then we'll go through the store settings and your payment settings. All right, so to get things started on Printify, before we connect a store, before we do anything else, we're going to take a look at our account settings, and that's going to be found in the bottom left corner of your screen. Printify, starting in 2023, has this whole left navigation pane that you can actually hide. You can minimize it by clicking on that little arrow up by the Printify logo, and you can expand it by clicking on it as well. Very bottom left corner, you're going to have your account menu. When you click on that, you're going to see My Account, My Files, Connections, Settings, and Sign Out. So the first place to go is to the My Account page. Now, if Printify has you fill out this information when you create your account, you may not have to add or change anything here, but this is where you find this information, and you want to fill this out if you weren't required to fill it out as part of the account creation process. There's only a couple things to fill out on this page, but we will start with the name of the business. Now, it's important to pay attention to the fine print here. So all they are looking for here is a name for your business to appear on your invoices. Now, this is not something that goes to your sales channel. This is not something that goes anywhere. This is only for Printify's information. So whatever business name you want to operate under, you can enter here. It is required. So even if you're a sole proprietor, if you're planning on connecting, one store or something like that, like an Etsy store, just put the name of your Etsy shop on here, or the name of your Shopify website, whatever you want to put there for your business name. Now the contact details also, this is going to be your personal contact details again, because this is what's going on your invoices. So you want to go ahead and use your name, your email, your phone number. This is not going anywhere else. This is just for Printify's information. And the last thing is going to be an address. This is an address that will default as the shipping address for your sample orders, and it's also going to show up on your invoices. So again, the My Account settings, this is really just for Printify. This is not going anywhere else. It's not going to go to your sales channel. No customers will see any of this. Now, the next option on the account menu is My Files. This is a location that you generally won't really have to go very much for Printify. This is just a collection of all of your print files that you have uploaded. So you really don't have to come here very often, if at all, because it's easier, honestly, to upload your print files in the design editing process when you're creating a new product. You generally don't have to come here for anything. The next page on your account menu is the Connections page, and this is where you would come to generate an API token. Now, if you have no idea what an API token is, chances are pretty good you will not need to come here or do anything with API tokens. There are help articles on Printify's Help Center which talk all about what API tokens are for, and I will link to those in the description. If you are signing up for Printify to connect an Etsy store, connect a Shopify store, or even to use the new Printify pop-up store, then you don't have to worry about API tokens. Now, the last page in the account menu is the settings page, and you do want to make sure you take a look at this page, because here you can change the display of standards and formats from either metric or imperial. You can set your time zone, and that helps with the timestamps that show up on your orders for submitting to production and things like that. You can also sign up for email notifications from Printify if you want to be notified when things are changing. At the bottom of the page, you have your login details where you can reset your password. But most importantly, on this page, this is where you control the cadence or frequency of the invoices. Now, some people use Printify invoices for tax purposes or general record keeping, and some people don't use them at all. If you use a service like QuickBooks Small Business or some other software to track all of your expenses automatically from the accounts that you use to pay for expenses, then chances are you won't really need Printify invoices. But if you're not doing that and you're keeping track of all of your order fulfillment expenses manually or separately, then you want to make sure you pick the right setting here for your invoices, because this will be your documentation of how much your order fulfillment is costing. Now, there is only one setting for invoice frequency per account. So you can have multiple stores connected to your Printify account. If you have the free Printify account, you can connect up to 5 stores. And if you have Printify Premium, you can connect up to 10 stores. But there is only one setting at the account level that controls whether all of your stores receive individual order invoices or monthly invoices. Now, if you are using Printify invoices to keep track of your expenses, I would recommend using monthly invoices, because they will include all the orders that you have paid for fulfillment in each given month. And then the invoice will total up your order fulfillment expenses for that month. Whereas if you select individual or per order invoices, every individual order that's submitted to production will generate an invoice. And then at the end of the month, there is no document produced to provide you with a total monthly expense for order fulfillment. So if you're planning to use Printify's invoices to keep track of your monthly order expenses, then I would recommend using the monthly option. All right, now it is time to connect a store so that we can go through the store settings and the payment settings. Now, I have a few stores already connected to my account, but where you can find this page to manage your stores is on the left navigation. If you click right where you see the name of my store, POD Insights, you will get a menu here which includes the options for Manage My Stores and Add a New Store. Of course, if you're ready to go ahead and connect a store, you can click on Add a New Store. But if you click on Manage My Stores, you will get to this page. From this page, you can get to each of your store's settings. You can also click on the Add New Store button in the top right if you're ready to connect a new store. When you first create your Printify account, you may be prompted to connect a store. However, that is how you can find the option to add a new store if you weren't prompted to do it when you created your account. Okay, so once you click on Add a New Store, it'll take you to this menu where you can find all of the options on Printify for connecting a sales channel. So a store or a sales channel, those terms are interchangeable. It basically just means where are you selling your products. Printify also has a new beta version of a pop-up store, and this basically is a store hosted on Printify's website. It has minimal customization, but you do get a store landing page and full checkout process capabilities, and Printify then handles the order fulfillment directly for you. So if you don't have your own website and you're not sure where you want to sell products, such as on Etsy, if you're just not sure where you're going to sell and you don't plan on creating your own website yet, then you can go ahead and use Printify's pop-up store option because it'll get you a storefront right away. It's free, there's no cost for it, no hosting fees or anything, and you can start creating your products. Now in this channel, we really focus on selling on Etsy, so that'll be the option I'm going to use. Now, of course, you would need to create your Etsy account and create your Etsy shop before doing this. So that is important to recognize. You don't want to come here and click on Connect to Etsy if you don't have your Etsy store all set up already. Now I'm going to be connecting Printify to my Etsy POD Insights store that already exists. If you have not created your Etsy account and opened your Etsy shop yet, then I would recommend watching my video that walks you through opening your Etsy shop first. But assuming you are logged into your Etsy account and you have your store all set up already, then you can come back to Printify and click on Connect to Etsy. You will then receive this pop-up window, which takes you to Etsy and indicates an application would like to connect to your account. It confirms which account you are currently signed into, and then at the bottom, you will click on Grant Access, and then Printify will be granted access to your store. Now, once you've connected Printify to your Etsy store, you land on your My Products page where you can now start creating new products and pushing those listings to your store. But before doing any of that, we want to take a look at our store settings and our payment settings on Printify. So let's go ahead and click on Store Settings in the left navigation menu. There are several tabs in the Store Settings page. Now across the top, you can see we have Store Name, Ship From Address, Preferences, Printify Connect, Branding, and Gift Messages. So first, we're going to start with our store name. You're going to want to go ahead and put in the name of your Etsy shop, and this should match whatever you have on your Etsy shop or your own website if you're selling on Shopify or something like that. You just want to make sure that the business name matches. And also there's a note here indicating your store name will be shown on the Ship From field on shipping labels. And then related to that, if we move over to the Ship From Address tab, there are two options here. We can use the Printify default Ship From address, or we can use the custom address. Now, if you click on the See Label example in the top right corner, you will see an example of exactly what this is going to look like. So the only thing you are controlling here is the return address or the Ship From address, which is highlighted in the example. And your business name that you entered on that first tab will show up here in the top left corner, followed by either a blank space if you selected default, or the address that you have entered here as a custom address. Now, I do not recommend using a custom address unless you have a specific address you use for your business, such as a PO box or a location where you are set up to receive and send packages. Because what will happen here is if you use a custom address and an order is returned to sender, meaning it was not able to be delivered, that package will go to whatever address you put in here. If you select the default option, then the address of the print provider will actually print underneath your business name on shipping labels. You can also control this individually for the US, the UK, and Germany. The next tab is the Preferences tab, and here we have several options that we need to consider. The first is order routing. There are two different things that order routing does on Printify if you enable this order routing feature. So there is a checkbox here on the page. If you check this box, now you will be turning on order routing. And then there is a setup option down below here we can expand, where we have two additional settings to choose from. But before we talk about those settings, let's just talk about what this is. So there are two scenarios, as I mentioned, where order routing sort of kicks in when you receive an order from your sales channel, whatever your sales channel is. If the product that your customer has ordered is out of stock with the print provider that you selected when you created the product, order routing will actually look for a different print provider that has the same product and will automatically route the order to that different print provider to be fulfilled. And then the second way that order routing works is if you get an order from a customer in a different country than your primary print provider. So for example, if you primarily create your products with print providers in the United States, but then you receive an order from a customer who is located in Canada, if there is a print provider who is located in Canada that has that same product, the order can be routed to the Canada print provider so that it's fulfilled locally for the customer and doesn't have to go through the international customs process. So those are the two ways that order routing can work for you if you enable it. Now let's talk about those extra settings. So there is a maximum additional cost per item setting here. Now the default and the lowest you can set it is $2. The reason this is important is because prices on Printify vary for each print provider. So the same exact product could cost a different amount from one print provider to the next. And if you enable automatic order routing, it means you might be paying a different cost than you expected when you created that product. So here you can control how much of a difference you're willing to accept. So the default, as I mentioned, is $2. I don't personally recommend setting it much higher than $2. So with it set at $2, what that means is if the only other print provider who has a product that is out of stock has a cost that is $3 higher than your print provider, the order will not be automatically routed because it is more than what you're willing to pay. Now, the other option you have here is to check a box that says use only exact product matches. And this matters because some products are available with an equivalent, and usually we're talking about apparel. And it describes that up here in the how it works section where it says if an exact product match is unavailable, it will be replaced by a product of similar quality, color, and material. However, when you check this box, you are disabling that capability. Basically, you're saying, I only want an order to be routed somewhere else if I can get the exact same product. Now, my personal preference is to turn this on because with apparel especially, sizing can be different from one company to the next. So if they substitute a different product, it could wind up being slightly different sizing than what the customer expected, and that can just generate some issues with, customers wanting to exchange or return. That can be avoided by only allowing exact product matches. And so that is order routing. Moving on, the next section on the preferences page is the order approval setting. Now, you have to choose one of these, and the default is manual, but you also have the option to have your orders submitted automatically at 3 different intervals. Now, manual is exactly what it sounds like and what it says in the fine print. When you're set to manual, every single order you get, you have to go to your orders page and click on the submit button so that your order gets submitted to the print provider to be printed. If you do not do that, your order will sit in an on hold status and never get fulfilled. So you definitely want to make sure you are aware of what setting you currently have. Now, there are reasons why you may want to use manual order submission, and the most common one would be if you sell personalized products. So if you sell products where a customer can personalize it, meaning they provide a photo or they provide a name for something, like maybe you're making a t-shirt design where somebody's name gets printed on it. The customer has to provide you with that information, and there is no automated way for that to occur on Printify. So that means before the order is submitted to production, you need to edit the order and swap out the product for one that you have personalized the design for, which I do have several videos about. So if you're curious about that process, I will link in the description to the videos I've made about how to personalize your designs before submitting your orders. But if you're not planning on selling any personalized designs or personalized products, then it's less likely that you really need to use manual order submission, and so you can choose one one of the 3 options for automatic. The fastest method is automatic in 1 hour. So 1 hour after each individual order is received in your Printify account, it will automatically be submitted to the print provider. This gives you and the customer the least amount of time to catch the order before it is submitted. And that can be important because if the customer says they change their mind and they want to cancel the order, you cannot always cancel an order after it has been submitted. You just sometimes are not able to do it because the print provider already has it. So if 2 hours later the customer requests that your order be canceled, you may not be able to cancel it. And so you're kind of stuck in that scenario, either having to give them a refund even though you can't get your money back, or telling them that you can't cancel the order and they're not so happy. But it is entirely up to you. You can choose automatically in 1 hour if that works well for your business. Now, you can also choose automatically in 24 hours or automatically at the same time every day. Feel free to use whichever method works best for you. The next option is tracking notification settings. Now, one thing to pay attention to here, this does not apply to the orders from your sales channel. This only applies to manual and sample orders. So this is only going to go to you. This is not for customers. 2 more options on this page. One is automatically send delayed orders to production. Now, a delayed order means significantly delayed. So sometimes Printify can tell right off the gate once they receive an order in their system, meaning you haven't even submitted it to production yet, but Printify can tell for some reason that the order is likely going to be delayed. And this can be because of international shipping restrictions. If there's likely going to be a significant delay or issue, Printify will flag it as a delayed order. And what happens then after that point is it gives you a chance to review the order first, unless you select Send Orders to Production automatically. This means even when Printify detects that an order could be significantly delayed, it will go to production automatically without you manually reviewing it. The only exception to that would be if the order can't be delivered due to restrictions, it will stay on hold and it won't be submitted automatically. But if you leave it selected as manually, you will get an email notifying you have an order that is subject to a delay, and then you can go choose whether you want to maybe reach out to the customer and ask if they would prefer to cancel the order or go ahead and submit it. And the last option on this page is to receive order status emails. So this is basically just a daily email that you receive with an update on how many orders you got and what their status is. So it's kind of like a daily order summary. Once you make any changes there, of course, always click Save in the bottom right corner of the page. The next tab of the store settings page is Printify Connect, and this is not something that's available for all sales channels yet. And I connected my account here to Etsy, and that is not currently a sales channel where Printify Connect is available. It is available for Shopify, Wix, and WooCommerce, so if that applies to you, if that's your sales channel, you can learn more about Printify Connect by following the link that's on this page. I'll also drop this link in the description so you can check it out. I should point out, though, that Printify Connect is only available as a free service for Printify Premium subscribers. So if you have the free account, it won't be available. If you are a premium subscriber, then basically what Printify Connect is it allows your customers to report any order issues directly to Printify, which removes you from the process. I also want to note that if you are using the Printify pop-up store option, then support for customers is actually already automatically handled by Printify. So the order receipt emails and the shipping notification emails that they automatically send to your customer, if you're using the pop-up store option, they will contain the link that's necessary for a customer to reach out to Printify if they have any problems with their order. So there's one little built-in benefit of using the Printify pop-up store if you didn't already have your own website. All right, the next tab on the store settings page is the branding page, and this is where you can add a custom insert to your orders. Now, the first thing to be aware of is that these are not free. This is not like on Printful. If you're familiar with Printful, they do give you the option to do a little bit of branding on their black and white packing slips. Most of the print providers on Printify don't do packing slips. So if you want custom branding in your packages, you can use these custom branded inserts. However, like I said, they are not free. The cost is 15 cents per insert if you have the free Printify account, or 10 cents per insert if you have Printify Premium. However, there are more caveats. It is also not available from all print providers yet, and it is something that you cannot use if you use express delivery, which is their extra fast shipping method that's available from some print providers. So there are scenarios where you could have orders and packages that don't receive the branded insert. But this page is where you can design your insert and enable them so that the participating print providers can include a branded insert. And you can design these any way you want. You can put anything you want on them. So you can include coupon codes for customers as a thank you. You can request product reviews with them. It can be anything that you want if you do enable them. And then gift messages is the last tab here. Now, this is a new option for Etsy, and it is available for Etsy. However, there are caveats with this as well. I actually just made a separate video all about this feature because it is a relatively new feature. I will link to that in the corner of this video and in the description. However, on this page, just as a quick summary, it has the same exact cost as the branded inserts. It basically is the exact same thing. It is the same size card that they insert. The only difference is that when we enable this with Etsy, there is some automation. It will automatically take the text from Etsy that your customer entered and populate it. And you can still design the entire rest of this card. It just automates the text from the customer. The cost is the same if you have the free account, 15 cents, and it is 10 cents if you have Printify Premium. And again, it's not available from all print providers, but I do believe it is the same print providers that offer the custom branded inserts. It's worth noting, though, that if you enable both custom branded inserts and gift messages, you can get both on the same order, and that will double your cost. So if you had a free Printify account and you enable both of these, and a customer purchases something from you and does include a gift message, then you would pay 15 cents for the branded insert and 15 cents for the gift message insert. So you would pay 30 cents on top of the regular order fulfillment cost. And remember, these are per order costs. So every single order will have this cost added to it for the gift messages or for the custom branded inserts. All right, so that is your store settings. We've covered the account settings and the store settings. The last thing to do is talk about your payment settings so that you can pay for the order fulfillment for all of your orders. To get there, you're going to go back to your left navigation and click on where it says wallet. You will click on that, and then you will go over to the payments page first. There's also a page for taxes and rewards. We're actually going to do this in reverse because the rewards page currently has nothing there. Now, this is something sort of a reserved space for if Printify runs contests or promotions or things like that, but most of the time, there's probably not going to be anything on your rewards page. The taxes page is an important thing to pay attention to because this is where you can register your business information with Printify so that you can avoid paying extra tax, either sales tax or VAT. There's a tab for Canada, a tab for EU, Norway, and the UK, and there's also a tab for USA. Now, I am not a tax expert, I'm not a financial planner, I'm not an accountant, so I really can't get into explaining all the intricacies of these things, but to try and simplify it a little bit, if you're in the United States, for example, sales tax is something that Printify is required by law to charge you when you buy a product from Printify, because essentially that is what we are doing. Print on demand is a business model where the customer buys from you, the seller, and then you buy from the print on demand print provider. So we are paying Printify for the orders to be fulfilled, and the customer is paying us. Those are both sales transactions that are subject to sales tax in the United States. Now, there are some states in the United States where Printify does not have to collect sales tax, and so even if you don't file a form, you won't be charged sales tax. However, in most states, you're going to be charged sales tax unless you file an exemption form. Printify does make it relatively easy for you. If you click on Submit a Certificate, there is a workflow here that can walk you through selecting all of the jurisdictions where you want to file your tax exemptions. However, it's important to note that in order to actually do this, you need to register as a business in your state because these forms that you're going to end up having to fill out using this workflow require at least one business registration number. Now, that does not mean you need to have an LLC or a corporation or anything. You can still be a sole proprietor. However, if you go to your state's small business administration website and basically just file or register as a small business, they usually will issue you a business registration number. And if they don't, you can also do things like filing for a trade name. Basically, you're telling the state you're operating under a certain business name, and that will certainly have a registration number associated with it. The filing fees for things like that vary widely from state to state. In my state, personally, I only had to pay $25 to register my business name, and then that gave me a registration number that I could use on all of these tax exemption forms for each state. Some of these states are covered by the same blanket form and some require their own, but this workflow will walk you through all of that. Once you have that filed and it is accepted by Printify, then you will no longer be charged sales tax on the orders in those states where you have applied for the exemption. Now, basically, it is the exact same idea for both Canada and the rest of the world. It's just the way that they treat taxes is different for EU, Norway, and UK. It's all about VAT. You don't have to be located in the these countries to file for a VAT ID number, but you do have to go through kind of a more complicated process, which I certainly cannot explain. So if you're interested in filing for exemptions in all countries, then you definitely will need to do some additional online research. All right, the last page in our wallet section here of the main navigation is the payments page, and this is where we set up how we're going to pay Printify for our order fulfillment. Now, if at this point you're not sure why you need to pay Printify for order fulfillment or how the cash flow of running a print-on-demand business works, then I would recommend watching the video that I'm going to link in the corner and in the description, which is all about the cash flow of print-on-demand. Also, just so we're super clear, Printify cannot receive any money from your sales channel. Money does not flow from your sales channel to Printify. All right, so there are 5 tabs on the payment settings page. The first one is payment details, which is where we're going to set up our payments. And then we also have a history of transactions. And then we can also find our invoices, either summary or per order, depending on how we set that up. And then also a history of withdrawals if we have ever withdrawn money from our Printify balance. Speaking of Printify balance, that is one of the ways that you can pay for your order fulfillment. So here in this green section, this is our Printify balance area. You can call it a wallet, a balance, whatever you want. Basically, you're going to deposit money into your Printify account, which will then be used to pay for your order fulfillment. There are 2 options to deposit money. You can use PayPal or you can use Payoneer. Either one of those will work to fund your balance or add to your balance. Any acceptable payment method on these platforms can be used to add to your balance. Of course, you can also use a credit card, debit card, or checking account that you have linked to your PayPal or Payoneer account to add funds. And you can withdraw funds if you have a balance in there that maybe you added too much and you're not getting enough orders, and so your money is just sitting in here and you want to pull some back out. You can withdraw the money. Now, the other option for paying for your orders is to add a payment card. So you can add a credit or debit card to your Printify account. You can only attach one at a time. This will work in 2 ways. If you have 0 Printify balance and you never add money to your Printify balance, then this will just be your default payment method. Each individual order will get charged to your account. And then also, if you have a saved credit card on file here and you do at some point add to your Printify balance, Printify will first use your balance and then it will use your credit card as sort of a backup. So as soon as your funds run out, it will start charging your credit card, which could even be for an individual order. It will use up your balance and then charge the rest to the credit card you have on file. Also on this page are the billing currency as well as the Printify Premium subscription and a coupon field here. So for Printify Premium, if you have not signed up for it, you would see an option to sign up for it. You can pay monthly or annually. You save a little bit by paying annually, and it is worth it if you are making, even a small number of orders every month, because it does pay for itself relatively quickly, because you get up to a 20% discount on product pricing, which goes straight to your bottom line. Those savings will add up pretty quickly and make it worth subscribing, at least to the monthly option. However, if you are brand new, just starting out, you certainly do not need to sign up for Printify Premium because it does have an overhead expense associated with it. When it comes to the billing currency, there are a couple of help pages on Printify's site I will link to in the description in case you have questions about what to use for the billing currency. But basically, this is just what is Printify going to use as far as a currency when they charge you. And what I would recommend is using the currency that your payment account is in. So when you click on change, you can see that there are several options. You can use British pounds, euros, Canadian dollars, and Australian dollars. Now, it's important to note if you do switch it off of US dollars, you will not be able to use Printify balance, so you will have to use a debit or a credit card. And so I do recommend checking out the help article I will link to in the description just to get a full understanding before you make changes to your billing currency. Also, I want to point out this is just the currency being used for your billing, your expenses. It has nothing to do with the currency of the products you're creating or the sales channel that you're selling in. This is only how you're being billed. And with that, we've now covered the account settings, the store settings, and the payment settings. You are ready to go ahead and start creating your products and publish them to your sales channel. But before we wrap this video up, I just want to point out some of the settings that we've talked about are also available on your orders page. So if you come to the orders page in the left navigation, across the top of this page, you will see a few of those settings that we've already talked about. So that order routing setting is right up here where it says disabled next to routing. If we click on that, it'll take you to the settings page where you can change that setting. And of course, then you have to go back to your orders page. Same thing will happen with these other settings. So you can basically just quick access these settings from these links. So if we go to order approval, it's currently automatic. Same thing. It'll basically just link you back to your store settings section that's associated with each of those things from the order page. So just kind of a quicker way to access those specific settings. So that'll do it for this video. That is all the settings you need to get your Printify account up and running. I hope it was helpful for you. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions about any of these settings. Do me a favor and hit that like button if it was helpful for you, and don't forget to subscribe to the POD Insights channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to check out those links I put down in the description for you to helpful resources that I mentioned throughout this video. Thanks everybody. See you next time.